Hello, I'm Ken Francis, California licensed marriage and family therapist. I would like to wish everybody a happy holiday season. However, I know this time of the year isn't always so happy for a lot of people. And I wanted to do a video about making a non-toxic holiday season, giving kind of a survival guide to get through the holidays and maybe even enjoy them. Two of the biggest things that I see people struggle with during the holidays is loneliness and having difficulty being around self-centered or narcissistic people. Because in a sense, when you're around somebody who's very self-centered, you don't feel like you matter, and thus you're feeling alone, even though you might be around a whole bunch of people, including family members. Let me talk for a minute about the concept of a narcissist. It is a style, it is a personality trait, it is a personality disorder possibly, and there are many, many other personality disorders as well. In ACA, a lot of people discuss that they are around people who are narcissists, people that are very self-centered and are very triggered by this. So I just want to say that somebody with this style or trait of being with their personality, these two are adult children, and usually these are adult children that are not in recovery. There's not a lot of difference between people that are wounded in one way from their childhood and people that are wounded from a different way. If you look at the ACA fellowship, we have the laundry list and then we have the other laundry list, and sometimes people tend to gravitate with their survival traits by going in a different direction that maybe the norm went in through, or maybe what you went through to survive and your coping skills. My point is, try not to blame people who are narcissistic. They might not be fun to be around, you might want to limit the time you're with them, you might need to set better boundaries for yourself, but realize that these people are ill people. They're not necessarily bad people. These are people that actually are coping with their family dysfunction and their family pain. And when you are in a meeting or a discussion and you're talking about narcissists, be aware there might be some people that are in your meeting that are struggling with their own narcissism. And to hear that as a label and as kind of like a bad person, this is something that just throws shame at someone else. So I always say, be a little bit mindful with other people when using those words. Now, ACA teaches in the solution, we keep the focus on ourselves in the here and now. If you're around somebody who tends to be self-centered, this can be triggering. This can throw you into either a fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode, or maybe this is triggering to throw you into an old family role of being a lost child. Because around these people, we don't feel important. We feel pushed aside, and this oftentimes triggers those old familiar feelings that came from being a lost child in your family of origin. In addition to the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, and in addition to the turning into that lost child again, there's also other ways of responding. And we can look at this through transactional analysis, which came out in the 1960s, and interfamily systems theory, which is a little bit more recent. And what these theories basically say is that we have different ego states inside of ourselves that take over and somehow try to protect us. And these happen often when we're triggered. When somebody comes at us from a very critical point of view, oftentimes we respond by rebelling. So there's this catch-22, this dance that we do with other people. And when we can identify what the dance is, then we can maybe catch ourselves as we're starting to go into those old patterns and old behaviors and try something different. This is where I recommend people work through the Loving Parent Guidebook to understand what those different ego states are, how to work on loving yourself and becoming your own loving parent. So what do? How do we cope through the holidays being around people like this? Basically, we don't have to be around anybody we don't want to be around. Loyalty, that's something that is ingrained in a lot of people, but in recovery, one of the first things to realize is that we take care of ourselves. And we risk moving out of isolation when we step out and challenge ourselves to do something different. And oftentimes when you're dealing with somebody who's self-centered, maybe you need to just kind of give them that. Instead of arguing, let them be the grandiose person who they are. Allow them to feel heard. But then when you've reached your saturation point, it's okay to leave. It's okay to excuse yourself. It's okay to find somebody else to talk to and change the conversation. We don't need to be held a hostage of the holidays. That is not what they're designed to be. And I strongly encourage everybody to make the holidays what you want them to be. If you want them to be a nice, quiet place for yourself to be alone and maybe try to connect with your higher power, then by all means, spend your holiday that way. If you want to be around family, but family tends to be a little bit abrasive or triggering, limit the time that you're with them. Another thing to do is maybe go to somebody else's house, spend time with somebody else's family. My motto is that I can do other people's crazy a lot better than I can do my own crazy. So if you find that you'd rather be with somebody else to share the holiday, give yourself permission to do so. So please remember to keep the focus on yourself in the here and now. It says so in the Big Red Book. I'm Ken Francis. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have the most awesome holiday no matter how you spend it or who you spend it with. And please celebrate being the most awesome version of yourself. Thanks for watching, and Happy New Year.